Hello, book friends. It's Allie, and today I thought I would do another book tag because they're pretty fun, and why not? This one is the Reader Problems tag, and I will link the original in the description box below so you can go check that one out too. The first question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How do you decide what to read next? So, a good majority of my fantasy books I haven't read yet, and I always feel like I have this crazy amount of books on my bookshelf that I haven't read yet. Usually, what I'll do is I will try to narrow it down to one that I'm very excited for, and I will pick that one for my TBR for whatever month I'm in. So I just try to kind of keep them rotating, and then if I don't finish one, sometimes I will like temporarily DNF it and then come back to it later. That happens every now and again. So, number two, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? It depends on the book. If the book is really terrible, I'm going to DNF and I'm not going to look back. But if the book is like maybe salvageable, I try to give it a chance and finish it. I don't like to just quit books. I like to try to finish them and see them through so that like maybe if there's just some redeeming quality at the end, then I'll get to see it. But on the whole, I don't like to give up on books. Number three, the end of the year is coming and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads challenge. Do you try to catch up and how? I usually try to set my goal higher than I think that I can reach on Goodreads. Well, I started that this year. So usually by the end of the year, if I haven't reached my goal, then I will do as much reading as I can toward the end of the year to try to get like as many books as I possibly can to reach that goal. But if I don't reach it, then I'm excited for whatever I do get, and then if I do reach it, then I am even more excited that I reach my goals. So it's always like best for me to shoot high, and then if I reach that goal, then I feel awesome. So, either way, you feel good about whatever goal you reach. Number four, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? That is not an easy one for me. I have like mild OCD, so when I have a series of books, for instance, The Assassin's Curse and The Pirate's Wish, these books match, but the author has redone them, and now they have new covers, and there are even short stories. There's a book of short stories that goes along with it, and two more stories that go along with these two, and they're all in different covers, and it makes me just slightly crazy. Like now I feel like I need to get all of the new books so that I have all matching covers, but I don't want to get rid of these because I love these covers because they're awesome, but the whole series is not in these covers. So yeah, it makes me mildly crazy. At some point, if I can't get all the same, then I just live with it, especially if it's like an older print of a book and you can't really get a matching set, then I try to just deal with it. But mostly I try really hard to have matching covers because it does make me a little bit crazy to look at my shelf and see not matching covers. Or especially if you have like one paperback and the rest are hardback, like I can't look at that and just be okay. For some reason my brain is just like shorting out whenever that happens. I need them all to be the same. But some series don't have all hardback, and so you just have to just like learn to get over it. Anyway, next. Number five, everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over these shared feelings? So I have two good friends who read a lot, and I will usually talk to either of them about my books and ask their opinion, like, hey, have you read this? What was your opinion on it? And majority of the time we'll have the same opinion, and sometimes if we have opposing opinions we talk about it. So that's really cool, and I really like that I have at least two friends to reach out to and talk about books with because they have similar book tastes to me. But I'm hoping to make some new friends on this platform to discuss books as well, because It's always fun to have somebody to rant with whenever a book irritates you, or to gush with because, oh my gosh, that book was awesome. So yeah, I hope to make some new friends so I can talk about books. So hey, talk to me. Next. Number 6, you're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I have cried with a handful of books, not many. So usually I'm not in a public place, but if I were about to start crying in a public place, I probably would just keep reading, because usually the book is so good at that point, you don't want to put it down. Now, I do know one book, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I was sitting on the beach, and the beach is my happy place, and I was sobbing. That book, I was just broken down in tears, and I was like looking at the ocean, and I was like, I just couldn't cope. That book is just so heartbreaking and so wonderful. It's an amazing book, but I was straight up just bawling in public. Didn't care who was watching, because that book was so good. I couldn't put it down. Like, once you get so far in a book and it starts to, like, you feel those tears welling up, you don't want to put the book down immediately, but you just try to kind of keep it reined in so maybe people don't notice as much. Alright, number 7. A sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, or cry in frustration? So usually if I've forgotten a book, I will either try to go back and read the first book so that I can go into the new book with a fresh mind, or I will sometimes look up a synopsis on Goodreads or even on Amazon, get on and look at where people have talked about them. So it kind of goes, it depends on the book, especially if it's like a really thick book and I don't have time to reread it, but I'm excited for the sequel, then I'll try to refresh myself on it. But if I have time, I definitely will reread the first book and then go into the sequel. Number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. I'm sorry if you hear my son yelling. He's playing outside, but he is crazy loud whenever he plays, so you might hear him screaming in the background. Alright, number 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? So I only have like a handful of friends who I would loan my books out to, and I don't mind, because usually if it gets messed up or something, they'll either get me another copy or I'll just get another copy because I'm excited to share that book with them. And if I didn't want to loan a book out to someone, I would just say, hey, here are some other options where you could find the book yourself. Maybe the library, or ebook, or maybe even an audio, because you can get, with the Libby app, you can get audio and ebooks for free. So there are other options, and if I think a book is worth recommending to someone, or if someone's excited about a book, then I would try to give them other options. Okay, number 9. Reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? So this happens to me somewhat frequently. I get so excited about so many books that I try to read way too many books at one time, and then I'm picking up all of those books and trying to read them all at once, and then I kind of get burnt out. And so I have to put all of my books down, and I have to regather and maybe take a few days to do something completely different than reading. Other times, if that doesn't work, I will just pick up an audiobook and listen to an audiobook, and then whenever I get all the way through the audiobook, it's kind of like my brain resets, and then I can pick up the physical book and start reading again. That's happened a few times. So when in a reading slump, either just put it down altogether and let it sit, or maybe get into a different form of reading. So maybe have the Kindle version, or maybe have the physical version, or do an audiobook. Some other way to read that gets you into a different way of thinking usually helps. Well, it helps me at least. So, number 10. There are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? This year, it was one of my goals to not buy as many books. I was really bad in the past to just willy-nilly buy books because it was like, oh hey, this is a really great bargain deal. How can I not buy this book? And then I have so many books on my shelves that I haven't read, and then I'm guilting myself about all the books that I haven't read. And so this year I went through and I unhauled a bunch of books that I didn't feel like I was going to get to anytime soon. And now I'm trying to either do the library Libby app where I can download and listen to audio, or get the ebook. I got a Kindle, so I've got the Kindle Paperwhite so that I can actually read the books and it feels more like an actual book. And it helps a lot. I don't just willy-nilly buy books now. And my husband will also get me books for like my birthday or Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or anniversary, just like any kind of holiday. He'll buy me a book that I have like on a wish list. So that also helps because I at least get some physical books every now and again. And then usually when the economy is normal, there's a used bookstore that I'll go to, and I'll try to just like narrow it down to a book that I know I'm going to love and that I know I'm going to read fairly soon. So that also helps. It's been helping me to keep my bookshelves way less cluttered to do it that way. Alright. Last question. Number 11. After you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? This is also an issue for me. Sometimes I have books that I'm super excited about, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to these so soon, and then I don't. And they sit on my shelf, and I put like everything else in front of it, and just have my TBR go around it every month. And then I'm beating myself up like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read that book. Why haven't I done it yet? And so I have been trying to make an effort to include into my TBR the books that I've been really excited to read, so that I'm doing them in a timely fashion. So as long as it's like on my to-do list, you know, then it's not so bad. It's not like nagging at me. So that's the way that I generally cope with it. Sometimes they just kind of get put on the back burner, and I'll just get to it when I am able to get to it. Sometimes I mood read, so whenever I'm in the mood for it, I'll pick it up and I'll read it and then go from there. So these are the ways that I like to read. That is all of this tag. If you want to do this tag, definitely let me know that you do it in the comments down below so I can watch your version of it. And if you want to discuss different answers that you may have than me, drop me a comment down below and I'll talk to you. Make sure that you like and subscribe and do the things that YouTube does, and I will see you guys next time.